It is so much nicer than it was the last vlog. If y'all don't remember, in the last vlog, it was rainy, pouring, nasty, cold. Ugh. Not the best time to vlog, but Tunnel Hill was really cool. But anyway, what's up, you guys? Chet-Guthrie the Dream Poet here, coming to you all with another fun-filled vlog. And today we are in Chickamauga, Georgia. And where in Chickamauga, Georgia, you might be asking? Well, we are at the Chickamauga Coke ovens. If you all remember, a couple of years ago, we visited the Coke ovens in Dunlap, Tennessee. And recently, I found out about these Coke ovens and the history behind them from my friend Andy's Journeys. And I thought, you know what? Let's check them out. Ultimately, I am really interested to see how these look compared to the ones that were up in Dunlap. Which, by the way, that is a beautiful area. I might go up there again to see the railroad tracks and see the path where the railroad tracks left and went. And I might even go up Heart Attack Hill. Heart Attack Hill up there in that area. That's where the men who were mining or burning coke in that area, they would be on the top of the mountain and they'd come up via incline. And at the end of the day, they'd get like on a small car and they'd go whoom. Present day, there's no more track and you have to walk straight uphill. It's not fun. But anyway, let's get to it. Let's check out the Chickamauga Coke ovens. And now, I like the fact that they have a wishing well here in the parking lot. And if you come to the Chickamauga Coke ovens, it's basically a park and there's a lot of interesting rock work. I'm kind of thinking that there's also some water treatment areas here in this area, or in this park, I should say. And I'll just say, that's not what I wished for. That's a lot of trash. But I do like the rock work in this. This is really cool. Right over there where my car is, that's a pump house. And there are several spots with these houses right here. This one right here, this one, which I imagine is where they probably store their lawn stuff. And these buildings right over here, like that one underneath that tree, that make me feel like I'm at Rock City or something. Maybe they have a pool in there. Because you know it says chlorine pool. Says high voltage right there, so I imagine not. But while I was here and walking around before I started filming, I noticed that the pump house was pouring out a lot of water. I'm not sure if that's a normal thing, but you can tell that if it's coming from a chlorinated pump house or with chlorine in it, that water is pretty clean. Now, having talked about those buildings in the park a little bit, let's talk about the Coke ovens themselves. You see, these Coke ovens that you see here, originally it was run by the Durham Coal Company. And where all this coal would come from is it would come off the mountains of Lookout Mountain. Then it would come by railroad and they would take this coal, sometimes up to about 3 tons a day, and they would take them here to the Coke ovens. And from here, they would burn it, they would burn the coal, and they would focus all the heat, they would intensify it and turn it into coke. And from here, the coke, it would be taken via railroad again up into Chattanooga, where it'd be used for the iron furnaces. Chattanooga for a very long time was a pretty big foundry town. However, now it's just a scenic city. And now what I've come to notice about these Coke ovens is they look like they're a little bit more well constructed than the ones up in Dunlap, Tennessee. Because Dunlap, Tennessee, I mean, they kind of look like it was mostly just foundation. But if you look at these Coke ovens, I mean, it's obvious that it still has the beehive or the dome shape to them. And well, this is just really cool. If you look actually right here on this one, you can see where where a lot of the burning took place. Now here in a minute we'll get up close to another one and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. And why does that one feel like it's a cave almost? And now I want you all to observe how all this is shaped. You see where this pathway is right here, this trail, that's where the trains used to be. And what would happen is the men would be working where we're standing right here right now. They would throw the coal in these beehives, they would burn it, they would intensify it, then they would go, they would bring it, and they would dump it into the coal cars, and then it would be taken into Chattanooga. And it does look like some of these have fallen on hard times. Obviously, some of them have collapsed, which is very sad, but it does give you an idea on what early Americanization was like, industrialization, especially, well, I was going to say probably about the 1870s, but you know what, it's probably around the 1870s, 1880s, when all this took place. And, you know, America was at the beginning of the Victorian era, and we were becoming more of an Americanized country. If you look in here, looks like somebody was living in it at one point. And I'm not going to lie, if I were somebody that were on hard times, you know, this would probably be one of the better sites to camp out in, to make shelter. Not briefly, you know, not long, but briefly, maybe get to a shelter, try to figure my life out. But that's just what makes me think, you know, these remind me just so much of an igloo or something maybe you'd see by the Indian tribes out west. Or I should say Native Americans of the 1800s or 1700s. Not present day, or at least I wouldn't think present day. But here, here's the opening of one of those beehives, or one of those coke oven remains. You see, look at the rock. Look at all that, even close to 100 years later, with all that coal that was burned, I mean, it still has stuck to the rocks pretty well. Even back then, you know, they really made stuff to last. Look how they did it. Like, they would have brick overlapping on top of brick. And yeah, from here, this is what they would do with one of the ovens. Now, I'm kind of wondering if how they made this is if they took sand or rock or what have you. You know, they wrapped clay and stuff on it and cemented it down, and then dug all the sand out. Like, that's probably not how it was done, but I imagine from a builder's perspective. And now I mentioned railroads, or railroad tracks, how the miners used to do things, or how the men that originally worked at this coke oven did their work, their craft. Well, here is the example that I was telling you all about, or that we were looking at on the other side. Men would work here. The railroad cars would be right here. Sometimes up to 3 tons of coal would come off the mountain a day. But that was another time, that was another era, and well, obviously it's just a park present day. Just a quiet park. And if you know me like I have on my channel over the years, I absolutely love trains. Like old school trains, miniature trains, anything of that nature. It's just my my inner child, I guess you could say. Well, look at these old coal cars from the time period. I kind of wonder where they came from, because they are obviously old, and I'm almost bound to think that these coal cars were pulled by dinky line locomotives that used to work at the coke ovens. The last video that I saw of this, these were much closer together, so I'm kind of thinking that maybe, just maybe, some kids were fooling around and they pushed it. I don't know if that's even possible or not, but that's the only thing that I can think of. And if you look at the bottom, you can see like how the coal emptied. For example, check this out. That's where how the coal would be dumped out. And that's how it would be done. And that is still pretty heavy. And there are a few motors here, like this one. I'm thinking probably because these type of coal cars were being put through so much leverage as they went up and down the mountains. I'm wondering if those kind of acted as a support as it went up the mountainside, or that could have been the very thing that would control the doors to open up and pour out all the coal. I mean, all of this is just assumption. I mean, I don't really know. In the comments below, let me know. I'd really like to. Some things I'm not terribly sure about, but you can get an idea of what these old wheels used to see, or what this entire car used to see way back when. Now, this is just me being a forestry nut, but this right here, that is Royal Palomia. I believe it's Royal Palomia, just because if you look at how big these nodes are, how big and how open they are, it's very thin wood. You see, way back when, this wood was brought in for carving. Like, they would grow these trees for carving purposes, and well, of course, the tree took off more than the art did. In present day, this is an invasive exotic, probably about maybe 100 to 200 years removed. I mean, it's still pretty decent wood though for carving. I mean, it's not all that heavy. And the leaves get really big too, like as big as my head, and that's saying something. So yeah, that's really awesome to think. I really didn't know about this place till I saw my friend Andy's video. I think he came out here about 6 years ago. Yeah, that's about a 6-year-old video. What's up, Andy? And it looks like somebody has left some Beats headphones. Well, even those are some Beats headphones. Yeah, those are some nice headphones at one point. But if you all are curious, this is what the inside of one of these Beehive ovens looks like. There's still, even to this day, a lot of coal ash. This is a pretty big room. This room, because of its architecture, I can hear my own voice and it's echoing everywhere. Like that one time I went down to Enterprise South Park, which is about 30 minutes up the road from here. It does the exact same thing. However, it is more well constructed. Well, what is left over from the Vietnam War. But look at this. Look at that big hole right there. You see, when these men would burn the coal and turn it into coke, this is where all the smoke would come from. It would push all the way out into the sky, and that's how we would get coke. A much more heat-intensive product. Heat-intensive, there we go. Now let's walk outside. Let's get out of here. I know this one, I don't think we're supposed to be in. And I can hear my voice again. Yay. There is a pizza box right there. A Little Caesars pizza box. That's not historical though. Looks like this Beehive oven is falling in hard disrepair. That one, yeah, about the same. Looks like these are in a little more better shape than the ones on the other side. Yeah, I'd say so. I don't think well, we won't go there. Huh. And I think we're coming to one that you actually have the opportunity to see what it was like in. And that is this one. And it does look like somebody has been working on a basket. Even looks like somebody has been living in here. You can see a little bit of graffiti. I don't understand why people have to graffiti everything. See that somebody had a fire. And somebody's been working on a really nice basket. That is really cool. I've seen basket weaving like that before at the Chief Van House. But look at how the other rock compared to the other beehives is. I mean, this one is completely restored. So this is what it would have actually looked like at the turn of the century. This is all just really, really cool to see. And again, I say you can see like how the coal is still stuck to the walls. Oh yeah, and there's a real Royal Palomia tree right there. That's what I'm talking about. Sorry, ADHD at its finest. But you have that one and that one and this one right over here. Now that's not a tree that you want right there. That is a gosh, I forgot what it's called. Anyway, it's an invasive. And if you want to know more history about this area and this location, here are the signs that you can read. This one says company store. Now, the Dunlap Coke Oven Museum, they have a really great example of what one of the company stores would have looked like. Well, actually, it was an entirely rebuilt store from the ground up. Really cool. The Estill iron or ore mine. That was one of the mines in this area. You got some more pictures right here of what the miners did for a living and how all these projects would look. Sometimes I wonder if maybe if there are even some of this stuff left, like the Rising Fawn furnace. Like if there was anything left, that would be cool to see. And Chattooga County mining. Anyway, you guys, this is a really beautiful area. Kind of glad that I came out here on a day when it was not raining and pouring and just being ultimately nasty. It actually turned out to be a pretty beautiful day. But anyway, you guys, remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care and that y'all want to see more awesome videos. So without further ado, you guys, this vlog is over.